During the pandemic, some families tried to help their children keep pace with schoolwork by setting up study groups called learning pods. For many families, the option was unaffordable, but there was an affordable option for students in Boston, thanks to nonprofit partners in education working together as the Community Learning Collaborative. To tell us how that will continue with programs in July and August is the leader of the collaborative, also the president and CEO of the YMCA of Greater Boston, James Morton. Thank you very much for being with us, James.
It is my pleasure to be with you this afternoon, Chris. Thank you.
James, in a better world, these pods would be funded maybe from local school budgets, maybe some money from Washington, but I think more was required. So what did the collaborative do to make this a reality?
Well, as you indicated at the start, there were many communities that pooled their resources together. Even individual families pooled their personal resources together to create learning pods. And when the schools closed in mid-March of 2020, we knew that there would be thousands upon thousands of children who would need some place to go to get their remote lessons because their parents didn't have the option of working from home. They were required to work each and every day on the job. And so we created these spaces and places in the communities where those children could get their remote lessons, get enrichment in the afternoon, movement, physical exercise, have opportunities for social emotional learning, and were fed 2.5 meals a day. And so for 9 hours a day, 45 hours a week, our Community Learning Collaborative sought out to support the children of working parents by providing them with these what we call equity learning pods, where children could get their lessons.
A lot of what you described was advantageous for the students, but wouldn't you also say some of that was essential for learning?
I would say it was absolutely essential. If you think about where would those children go if we didn't have these spaces and places in the community where they could access their remote lessons while at the same time have all of the other opportunities that I've just mentioned. Much of what we've talked about in recent weeks has been the emotional challenge that children have experienced trying to get through COVID-19, experiencing lots of isolation and depression. And so by us being able to provide these spaces and places for children to come together, we were able to deal with a little bit of that as well. So it was both about learning and about making sure that we were supporting both the physical and emotional health of the children that were in our care. So this was absolutely essential for us to do, Chris.
I imagine these centers are places where the internet connections were stronger and more dependable. But aside from that, what about the human connections, the kind of attention these students were getting? What was going on?
Well, that's critically important, right? It's all about connectivity when it comes right down to it, both personal and through the technology. And what we did is we hired teachers and instructors many of whom were individuals who lived in the community, who all already knew the families and knew some of the kids as well. And we also created these opportunities for kids to be in pods, and so they'd be together with the same group of kids every day. And the opportunity for that human interaction, we believe, was critically important. Our goal was to create opportunities for kids to have fun, get their lessons, and also be in the presence of a caring adult outside of their home.
Well, this wasn't just a kind of second degree classroom. You're working with community organizations here that have a unique focus. You have the base with its athletic slant. You have Inquilinos Boricuas and Acción in the South End. Talk about the cultural orientation or even the team spirit at some of these centers.
Well, you referred to me as the leader of the collaborative effort at the outset. We had four leaders, four amazing leaders, in particular, four amazing leaders of color in the city of Boston. And so what we were able to do was to pool all of our resources and take advantage of what we were each of us bringing to the table. And what we brought to the table was quite different, which is what made it really special. Some of us are focused and historically focused on serving kids in the out of school time. Others of us were focused on providing cultural opportunities with children. And then of course you've got the base that focused on providing opportunities around sports and enhancing both the students' academic and athletic abilities. And so when you bring all of that together, imagine what we were able to offer to the kids that were the beneficiaries of our learning pods.
Before the summer, you've been able maybe to have some tie-ins to classroom frameworks, but this is going to be the summertime. What do you do for a framework?
Well, we already will continue to use the framework that we've always used, and that's the framework provided by Boston After School and Beyond. The YMCA of Greater Boston is one of the partners with Boston After School and Beyond with respect to its summer learning loss prevention strategies. And what we intend to do, our collaborative effort intends to do, is to utilize that same curriculum, the same standards, the same measurements and metrics to make sure that our children who are in our collaborative experience are having the same kind of experience as those children in the Boston After School and Beyond program. And so we're doing that on purpose. We want that continuity for all the children that are being served across the city of Boston. Children, no matter what, under the very best of circumstances, Chris, have suffered some loss of skills in math and reading during COVID, the period of COVID-19. And so this has to be the best summer ever. This is our opportunity to help kids catch up what they've lost, at least to some degree.
We've heard so much about learning pods lately that we've almost forgotten that they were around before the pandemic. And I think, if I got it right, even before the pandemic, you and maybe some of your partners were thinking of doing something like this.
Yes, we started to come together, the four organizations and the leaders of those organizations. We started to talk about what we call the moonshot. What was some major persistent challenge in the community that we thought we might be able to craft or create a solution to? And so in September of 2020, we began to meet on a regular basis to kind of think about, what is that persistent challenge and what might be some of the solutions to it? Well, 6 months into our conversation, COVID hit. And it was at that time that we decided to take what we had already learned from our interactions and relationships with each other and use that as the foundation for our community learning collaborative. And so, yes, we took experiences that we had already been thinking about and pondering and trying to craft solutions for, and we used that information to kind of inform our strategies around the community learning pods that we ultimately created.
What about capacity this summer? I know we have these changing guidelines now. Do you have room for more students?
Great question, Chris. Yes, absolutely. With the governor's recent decision to eliminate some of the additional restrictions, we will have the ability to serve even more students than we were initially planning to serve. And so we're looking forward to making sure that every child in the city of Boston and in Greater Boston have access to summer learning opportunities. We want to make sure we're giving them every chance to catch up and not fall any further behind. And then, Chris, in the fall, we will extend our program into the out of school time. And our hope is to be in as many schools as we possibly can be, providing additional academic support and enrichment in that out of school time.
Well, what began here as a pivot, with exploration of new ground, means that you've got to sort of look things over, see what worked and what didn't work. I know that it might still be too soon to be sure here, but is there anything you can say about what you've learned about things that you've got to do to make sure it's effective?
Well, yes, there have been some lessons learned. I think the major lesson that we've learned is that reimagining education requires us to think of learning as a process that happens both in schools and in the community. And so as we move forward, I'm hoping we're going to find ways to make sure that we're able to continue our support of children and their academic success and enrichment in the out of school time, and partner with our school districts to make sure that students are getting those additional supports. So that's one lesson we've learned. I hope we're going to be able to take advantage of those learnings and put together programs that will support the best interest of children.
Finally, James, if anybody wants to find out more about this or even sign up, what's the best way for them to take the next step?
I would encourage them to look at our website. It's the Community Learning Collaborative website. And then you can connect with any of the 4 organizations. It's EBA, the BASE, Latinos for Education, and the YMCA of Greater Boston.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time and joining us.
Thank you very much, Chris. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. James Morton from the Community Learning Collaborative and the Greater Boston YMCA. We'll have more news in just a moment.